AFC East Roundtable, what is poppin'? This is probably not the face that you were expecting to see. This probably also isn't the face that you're hoping to see, but it's the face that you're getting here today. It's your boy Colby with Patriots Global, and today, guys, we have a special show for you here on the AFC East Roundtable. The usual suspects, unfortunately, were not able to make it, so you got the next best thing. You got me covering the Patriots, per usual. You got Ryan here with Jets Talk 24/7. We got Z-Bot here who's going to be covering the Bills. You guys already know Z-Bot. You guys already know Ryan. You love him. Finn's take with CB. He's expected to come in, cover the Dolphins here. Hopefully he pops in a little bit shortly, but we thought we would just get started as he kind of, rolls in here a little bit. Today, we're going to be talking about a few different things. We're going to be kind of giving our final thoughts here about the draft. You guys already heard my kind of takes about this last week, but you haven't heard Ryan, you haven't heard Z-Bot. They're going to give their final kind of takes on their draft class and each other's draft class before we hop into minicamp, and then talk about really the only thing that's happened in the AFC East over the last week, and that is OBJ to the Miami Dolphins. Does this make the Miami Dolphins a top 3 wide receiver trio, or the wide receiver trio in the National Football League, as for some reason TD thinks is true? We're going to talk about it, but Ryan, how you doing, man?
Oh, it feels good to be on. It's been a minute since I've been on the AFC East Roundtable. Very much looking forward to chopping up with you guys and talking a little draft, hearing what your thoughts are on your guys' teams. And Colby, we haven't discussed your side of the draft, so I'd still love to hear, a little bit of maybe a shorter synopsis, obviously, but would love to hear it. Looking forward to chopping it up.
Yeah, Z-Bot, how we doing, buddy?
What's happening, fellas? Great to be back on. I think it's been since the season came to a close that I have been on with you fellas, but we were just talking off camera. It's coming again here quick. It's approaching very fast. The draft's already in the books, of course. We're already through the first week of May. The rookie camps are about to start up. The training camps are about to start up. Before we know it, we'll be back on the roundtable talking about actual ball. So we're getting there, but excited to talk about what's happened recently here, because it's been a very packed offseason. That's probably why it's gone so fast. But we were talking a little bit earlier how the AFC East, this might be the closest it's been in some time here. So it should be a hell of a season. And I look forward to being able to dive into it with you guys, because it could be a bit tighter than those expect based on all the moves that were made here in the offseason. And those that were at the bottom of the pecking order are starting to make those moves to try to get up towards the top. And maybe, the argument is those that were at the top have taken a bit of a step down. So we shall see, but either way, a very exciting year on the horizon here.
Yeah, and Andy, a Patreon member, comes in and says, even the secondary table is waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to come in and comment, being like, oh my gosh, it's like the Temu version of the AFC East Roundtable. Just like the guy in my comment section this past week who commented on my channel over at Patriots Global. He said, Colby kind of looks like a Temu version of Tom Brady. Joke's on you, buddy. That one actually is a massive compliment to me. I'm 22 years old, still trying to convince myself that Tom Brady is my father. So, it doesn't get much better than you saying I look comparable to Tom Brady. But let's just hop right into this. Ryan, what were your thoughts ultimately on the Jets' entire draft? And even give us, what was your overall grade? We dropped our grades from the AFC East Roundtable this past week. I got some flack as a Patriots fan, as we talked about before we hopped on here. I gave the Jets a B just because I thought the Patriots was just a little bit better, and I gave the Patriots a B+. What were your thoughts on the Jets draft class?
So I actually agree with you on the grade overall. I gave the Jets a B+ on the totality of our draft. Now, there's some caveats in it because it's not fully based on the draft picks. It's some of the moves that were made during the draft and or moves maybe that didn't get made with the Jets and whatnot. But I guess going back to the first few picks, obviously everything kind of went as expected for the most part through the first 7 picks. And then Penix goes at number 8 and, threw us for a loop. I was expecting a defensive player. So I'm getting excited. I'm like, all right, well, maybe the Bears are going to take a defensive player. I wanted Odunze. I was very much team wide receiver. At the number 10 pick, I felt like that was our biggest need. We had our starters on the offensive line kind of figured out. I would have been fine with Bowers. That definitely is who I thought they were going to take at 10. I liked a little bit of a trade back, 10 to 11. Obviously, it's not a very big hop. We got, I think, a 5th and a 6th round pick, or a 4th and a 6th round pick from that move back. And obviously, we still got the player we would have taken at 10 anyway in Olu Fashanu, because Brock Bowers was still on the board. The Jets did try to trade up to number 6 or number 8 to go get Rome Odunze. So they were obviously thinking weapon at that point with the top 3 receivers off the board. They apparently never had their sights set on Brock Bowers whatsoever. It was all a smokescreen. And obviously with them going the offensive lineman, that's kind of how it ultimately played out. Rodgers did come on the Pat McAfee show and say like, oh, it wasn't necessarily the biggest need we had because we did bring in Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, felt like we could have used a wide receiver, but he is excited. He knows, Olu Fashanu was high on our board. So overall, satisfied with the pick. I think it's a smart selection. It's one that I didn't think Joe Douglas was going to make because I would have thought the priority of winning this year meant more than the security of the future. And the way they operated this draft very much felt like Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are not afraid to lose their jobs at the end of this year, and they're going to continue building to the future. And it's really a matter of, hey, Aaron Rodgers just has to stay upright, and we're all coming back next week. Richie, going to the Knick game from MSG. Dude's going to be going.
Yeah, dude. I also I didn't know that I was going to be the only one until like a couple of days ago. Richie hits me up. He's like, hey, bro, you want to host this week? And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Heck yeah, I want to host. I want to show what I'm made of. I'm not just a damn side piece. I'm not something you get to when you can. And then he goes, all right, good, because you are the only one who is going to be showing up this week. And I was like, oh, okay. But no, yeah, shout out to Richie. He's at the Knicks game. He's doing a lot of good things over on that YouTube channel too. So make sure you guys go ahead and support our boy over on his NBA channel with that also. But yeah, Ryan, I mean, any other thoughts about the overall Jets draft before we get on to Z-Bod there?
Sure. Yeah. So obviously, once the Jets got out of the first round, they got their wide receiver. A lot of Jet fans expect us to use that extra draft capital that we accumulated to come up and get a wide receiver. And lo and behold, we trade up not as high as we thought we were going to go, but the first pick in the third round, we get Malachi Corley, which is basically like 85% of what Brock Bowers probably would have given your offense, only you're wasting a third round pick on him instead of the number 10 overall pick on him. Not saying that he's Brock Bowers, but the around the line of scrimmage, the yak capability. Aaron Rodgers won his last two MVPs heavily relying on yak yardage. So having Brees be able to have that yak ability, Garrett be able to have that yak ability, now Malachi Corley to be able to do that. The Jets have 3 home run threats that can score at any time they touch the ball. So very exciting. From a return perspective, I do think the kick return, because of the new rule, is going to drastically change how teams view that position. And I think Corley is going to benefit from that rule change. I think you're going to see a lot more touchdowns from every team on kickoffs this year comparatively to the last decade or whatever. And then we get into the fourth round, and we had 3 fourth-round picks. And then we wound up trading all of them. We wound up making only 1 fourth-round pick. We had pick 111, and actually your Patriots took Javon Baker right in front of the Jets. And there were rumors that the Jets may have wanted him at that particular point. Nothing super official, but just kind of even rumblings.
Better. Now the pick's even better. We stole him from the Jets.
Those damn Patriots.
Every year, man. Every year.
Every year. And there were still some good guys on the board. And I think where I knock the Jets draft the most is that 4th round. Because at 111, we could have had a TJ Tampa, 6'2" corner out of Iowa to go opposite Sauce Gardner for the next 10 years. But we chose not to do it. We have Brandon Eccles, Michael Carter II, and DJ Reed going into the final year of those of their contracts. So the Jets only have Sauce Gardner under contract going into next season. So a little surprised they did that. There are a few other guys. The Hicks, the safety out of, I think it's Arkansas, was available at that time. Jets could have used a safety. We wind up going with Braylon Allen, who, if you guys remember, I think I was on here for a mock draft. Although I don't know if Colby, you were on. I think Colby, you were on here when we did the mock draft. I had Braylon Allen. I was a big
2 weeks ago,
probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks prior to the draft.
That's when Richie was becoming an uncle, right?
Yes. So I had the 2 picks I was like very, very high on was Braylon Allen and Jordan Travis. And the reason I like Braylon Allen, 20 years old. Kid is not going to be 21 until the Jets are going to the Super Bowl after their AFC championship win this year. He's going to turn 21. So he's not going to have his first legal drink until then. The guy is just an absolute stud muffin, completely balances out the running back room for an RB2 for Brees. And then I really like the Jordan Travis pick. The Jets carried 2 quarterbacks last year. I think they want to carry 2 quarterbacks again this year because they want to have that extra offensive lineman heading into the season. And by having Jordan Travis on the roster, you have someone who knows Jermaine Johnson, who's a defensive leader on our team. So there's already some little bit of credibility coming into the locker room, but then also the ability to IR him at the end of training camp. You can say, hey, you're getting a true redshirt year after training camp. You're going to sit behind Aaron Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor for the entirety of the season, and he's not going to count towards our overall roster. So I really like that aspect of it. The last three guys, Davis, a running back. We got Stiggers, a guy from the CFL, really unorthodox way to get into the league. Really excited to see what he could potentially bring to the table. And then Mr. Irrelevant, Jalen Key, who I don't really know a crazy ton about, safety out of Alabama. But, still very excited. The overall encompassing thought of this draft, the first four picks are the four that I really like, and it couldn't have been a further cry from the players that they're currently replacing. Olu Fashanu coming in, he says, I'm willing to play any position on the offensive line. I just want to play and help this team. Mekhi Becton, I'm a left tackle. That's who I am. That's where his ass out the door. Malachi Corley, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to knock the snot out of you. I also did not take $350,000 or $400,000 in an NIL deal to leave Western Kentucky. He wound up staying and showing loyalty to the team. Juxtapose that with Elijah Moore, who's doing the dog piss celebration at the end of the Ole Miss game, costs his team a bowl game because he got a 15-yard penalty on the extra point and they missed it. Then you have who is it? Braylon Allen, who loves hitting dudes, blocking in the backfield, along with Davis, our other running back that we took, quoted saying, my favorite thing is to catch a blitzing linebacker and decleat him. Yep, that comes a long way from Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook was not in there on pass protection. Izzy wasn't doing that. You didn't get to see Michael Carter do it. So obviously we got some pass protectors back there with the running backs. And then the difference in quarterback from a number 2 overall pick in Zach Wilson to a guy who had his career damn near stolen from him in Jordan Travis, fell from arguably a second-round pick around football season all the way down to, I think it was the 6th round we ended up getting him in, or 5th round. And I think the fight to try and be there, he's going to be able to sit behind the scenes. There's not going to be that pressure on him. And honestly, if he winds up being a career Tyrod Taylor, the Jets hit the ball out of the park on that selection. Very, very excited to see what he potentially has in the future. But the Jets may have not drafted a day one starter on this team for this season. And there were some Jet fans that were super frustrated with that. But I say, hey, is that a testament? Is that a knock on the draft or a testament to the roster that Joe Douglas built? Because I think the Jets have a very, very deep roster. And, I'm just excited. I think the Jets B+ grade for the draft. Super stoked on it. I don't want to take up too much time here.
Yeah, for sure. And Z-Bot will be right back to give his thoughts on what he thinks of the Jets class, because look, at the end of the day, you guys already know how I feel. We all broke it down last week. I like the Jets draft class. I really, really do. I think for the most part, they did really, really well. For me, and I'm really not trying to be biased whatsoever. I'm sure it sounds like a biased Patriots fan, but, I can say the Patriots have had some really, really terrible drafts. I mean, they had an okay 2021. It looks like maybe they hit on a couple of guys in 2022, and 2020 is really the best overall Patriots draft class that we've seen in years. So I know a bad Patriots draft class when I see it, and it's different that they're finally drafting quality players. So I gave the Patriots a B+, and because of that, I think the Jets were right below the Patriots. And I said that to you, Ryan, which is why I ultimately gave the Jets a B. And I know a lot of people hated that, but that's ultimately what I did give the Jets here. And
I agree with you too. I do think the Patriots had the better draft. I think the Patriot of all the teams in the AFC East, I felt like the Patriots had the best draft. Obviously, they had the most firepower and whatnot, but I do think they had a really nice draft.
And for me, I feel like what it also comes down to is the fact that, yes, you got some difference makers. I think you got some good players. I believe you drafted 2 running backs. That was kind of where I wasn't so big on. There were some routes that ultimately I would have went a different way. And then in the first round, which is probably one of the hottest takes that blew up the roundtable this past week, was when I said that I love the Olu Fashanu pick. It makes a ton of sense. I understand why. When I was doing mock drafts, I think, Ryan, when we were doing the roundtable, the draft roundtable, I had originally said that I think the Jets should go offensive tackle just because you have Tyron Smith, but if he gets injured, you obviously want a guy who's going to be able to protect Aaron Rodgers, and I stand by that. But I think the biggest hole on your roster is the tight end position, right? And it's not to say that Conklin is a bad tight end, and I'm not trying to go through this whole spiel again. It's not to say that Conklin is a bad tight end, but again, I think the Jets went into the draft out of every single team in the AFC East. They had the least amount of holes that they had to fill. You guys could have just went into the draft and drafted whatever you really felt like you needed or wanted to develop over time because you didn't have immediate holes. If you look at that offense, tight end is probably the place that you could have upgraded the most to make that immediate impact. And for me personally, I think that the Jets are in, like a 1 or 2 year Super Bowl window before Aaron Rodgers ultimately does end up retiring. And then you're back going into the quarterback carousel, which we know has been a major issue for the Jets in the past. So what I personally would have done or looked into would have went to go Brock Bowers. I mean, the dude is a great blocker. He's going to be a generational talent. He's a really, really, really good receiving threat. And while you do have Conklin, I think that Conklin is like a low-end number 1, but like a high-end number 2. And I tweeted this out. We'll add Z-Bot here too. I tweeted this out not too long ago. I want to say, actually, how can I?
It was within the last week, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Trying to figure out where Twitter just went on me. But anyway, basically what I said was, look, the Jets have the best overall roster in the AFC East on paper, but the place, again, that was probably the weakest for you offensively was at the tight end position. And if you look here, it is backed up. Tyler Conklin is good, but he's not a good blocker. And even receiving wise, I mean, 26 out of 72 qualifying tight ends overall this past season. Receiving was 22nd out of 49 and blocking was 47 out of 76. It's no even argument that Brock Bowers would have been an upgrade at the tight end position for you. And I think Brock Bowers would also have given you that mismatch advantage, right? Because you have the wide receivers, you have the running backs. Then if you have the tight end position, be able to match up against these smaller linebackers, Aaron Rodgers has every single outlet that he can go to. And then you draft, an offensive tackle in the 2nd or the 3rd round. And I know you say, well, then we probably couldn't have gotten Malachi Corley. I think that you could have still gotten Malachi Corley and still gotten a tackle because you had the compensation to be able to trade back in or be able to trade up and maneuver. So that's just kind of my thought process and what I would have done differently. Not to hit on Conklin, not to hit on the draft class ultimately, but I don't know. I know that was kind of a hot take, but Z-Bot.
Yo,
Z-Bot, what are your thoughts on the Jets?
Before Z-Bot,
Ryan got a little thing to say back to me.
I just want to talk a little bit about Bowers thing because I don't disagree with you. I definitely I would have taken Bowers, and it's mainly because no, I'm dead serious. I would have taken Bowers purely based on the window with Rodgers, like you said. Like we have a 2-year window. Let's push all the chips into the center right now, and let's get the guys we need to win right now. And I think a weapon would have been the way to go. Mike Williams isn't guaranteed to start at the beginning part of the season, which is why I wanted Rome Odunze, and I think why the Jets were trying to trade up to 6 and 8 to do that as well. And I think once the top 3 receivers came off the board, they had this sort of situation of like, the tight end, like that's great. It's a home run threat. We were possibly thinking tight end in last year's draft in the 1st round at 15 overall. And there were rumors that the Jets wanted Jahmyr Gibbs. So they were clearly looking for a home run threat. So it did feel to me like Bowers was going to be the selection. Now, I do think some of these PFF grades are a little disingenuous for Conklin because he was playing with Zach Wilson and there is some astronomically terrible quarterback play that he's seen the last 2 years here. I do think he's a top half of the league tight end with good quarterback play, or at least average quarterback play. So I think you'll see these numbers shift somewhere around 15 or so by the time.
Oh, this is all cool and dandy. The Miami Dolphins are here. Everybody, hey, welcome me to the show. Hey, we're here. Chat, all my Dolphin fans.
Booted them.
Man. Let's go. Let's get it, man. Let's crank up. Let's go.
Yes, your Miami Dolphins finally have the representation in the building. What's going on, buddy?
We have arrived. The AFC Roundtable is finally complete, guys. We're in the building.
Yes, they don't call us the late Roundtable for nothing. We're living up to the name. That's the job.
Let's get it going.
That's the job. But I will say too, when I tweeted this out after the Roundtable dispute this past week, this kind of blew up. This has over 100,000 impressions on Twitter, and Jets fans were not happy. Nothing I said was wrong, okay? I stand by everything I said. I backed up everything I said about Tyler Conklin and why I think they should have ultimately went Brock Bowers, and every single reply that I got was just, this guy doesn't know football. No one could back up their theory. It was just biased Jets fan. This guy doesn't know football. And I was like, you know what? I got to delete Twitter for the rest of the night because I can't.
We're a
mentally
passionate
do it.
bunch. It's the feeling of what he could be, and I share that feeling with a lot of Jet fans. I do think he is better than what we have seen, purely because of how bad the quarterback plays. Like, I think our offensive line isn't as bad as it's been, but I think Zach holding on to the ball too long caused more problems. Like, I think Miami had a dog shit offensive line going into last season, and they got the ball out in under 2 seconds. So, like, you can't sack the quarterback if the ball's out of his hands. Like, Miami had the formula to neutralize a pass rush. The Jets couldn't figure it the fuck out.
Yeah,
man. You can't get to Tua when he's getting the ball out that fast, man.
Yeah,
our guys get open very quickly too. They get separation. So and it's a timing based offense, right? Our guys are gonna make the plays, get to the spots. Tua knows where guys are gonna be. They run a lot of reps in practice. So as a result of that, it's a system. And Mike McDaniel kind of runs it to the T. He knows what he's doing. He knows where his guys need to be, and that's really when Tua's operating at his best. Is when guys are in their spots, they know where they need to be, and he's delivering, and he can just chop defenses up. If you're going to play a zone, you're going to struggle. If you go in there and man us up, we could get you too, and that's the beauty of our offense. If you want to go in there and man us up, we definitely going to hit you deep one time, right? If your DBs are even, we're leaving because we're that fast. So hopefully that run game kind of steps up. We need our run game to just be more consistent and be more of a threat to defenses, and our offense could take off this year. It could.
Yeah, for sure. So Tom the Don, comes in with the first donation today, a $5 donation. Massive shout out to you, Tom. You say Jets will know pain as Rodgers will look like a Wilson scrambling 90% of the time. It boils down to the Bills and Fins. Who got better? Ooh, Ryan, it looks like we got a dispute already going on. Some hate to the Jets.
So the Jets have to earn it first and foremost. So I 100% agree with Tom from that perspective. The division runs through the Bills and the Fins until the Jets prove otherwise. But I think you'd be hard pressed to find any other team in the NFL that will have increased their opportunity to perform well more than the New York Jets. I mean, just alone going from the Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers is probably enough to overlap any other team's increase in potential. But then adding an all-pro left tackle, you got a stud right tackle. You add in Olu Fashanu, Malachi Corley, and Mike Williams, and all of a sudden this team's looking a lot different than it did.
Hot take. I think the Jets will be a better team than the Bills this year.
I think the Jets win the East.
You're going a little bit too far. Come on now, buddy. I gave you a little bit of grace.
We got 7 wins with Zach Wilson.
Come on.
Twice with Zach Wilson.
Hey, I was trying to be.
So you're saying what? Fins, Jets, Bills, Patriots?
Yeah, I think that's the play right there.
Wow. Okay. Richie Fresh comes in with a $4, $5 donation. I guess if we're rounding up here, says, I gotta believe Richie and TD are trolling. Probably. Real talk. Until the Bills crap the bed, they should not be slept on to win the division. The disrespect to our wide receiver core is real. And you know what? I backed that up. I backed it up because you know how many times over the Patriots' dominance for 20 years, it was, they're done. They hit the hill. Like, they can't get past this. And I'm not saying the Bills are the Patriots because, we actually went to Super Bowls and we won and we were consistent. No hate or shade to you, Z-Bot whatsoever. Just, stating the truth. But you cannot sleep on a team that has consistently every single year won the division. And like I said with the Patriots, even back when Tom Brady left in 2020, I said, I'm going to take the Patriots to still win the division until you can prove to me that you can take it over. And when the Bills proved it, I said, you know what? Okay, you are now the Kings. And I think the same thing has to be applied until a team actually comes in and dethrones the Bills.
Well, it also took the Patriots losing the quarterback, right? They lost the best player on the team, the guy who kind of carried them throughout the years. And losing Diggs is a big punch. I know you guys don't want to admit it, Bills fans, but it is a big punch to the offense. I think it's a big punch to like the leadership and the organization as well. Now, can you make up for it? Yeah, you could try to make up for it by bringing in other players, drafting a rookie and stuff like that. But I think it is going to be tough for the Bills to kind of maintain that dominance after kind of losing a guy like Diggs. And also, I didn't really see the moves, they made in the offseason, like making a difference, right? Now, there's still some time. They still have, a few months to get the roster squared away. but I just don't see it. Now, they could make some moves prior to training camp and in the training camp that kind of get them to where they need to be. They still have a Josh Allen, which is real. The Josh Allen factor is real. Not taking that away from him. But he needs that. He needs that guy. I feel like he needs a guy. I don't know if they have it in the locker room, but we'll see. We'll see how they patchwork that thing and try to make it happen, man.
Yeah, I agree. And we got one more super chat here from Tony. Says, JD the Great, stop lying to these people. Oh, I guess somebody's lying to us. But shout out to Tony for the $2 donation. But Z-Bot, let's get into you. What are your thoughts ultimately, real quick, on the Jets draft class?
The Jets draft class?
Yeah. We'll just kind of go around, give our final thoughts on the draft class, and then we'll hop into the Bills.
Yeah, I thought what the Jets did was smart, going offensive lineman early on. There's a lot of talk in here about, not just in here, but in general, about the Jets making that climb up the AFC East ladder, potentially being in the mix for 1 and 2, and then of course a playoff spot. And ultimately, that's the that's the goal at the very bare minimum when you bring in Aaron Rodgers. And of course, that comes crashing down 4 plays in last year. So we don't really have an accurate read on what these Jets can be until we see Aaron Rodgers remain healthy, stay out on the field, and then see what that team does with him. That's my biggest concern for the Jets overall, though, is Aaron Rodgers' health. I mean, if they keep him healthy and he's able to stay in for even, 3/4 of the season, depending on what happens, I think the Jets are certainly as capable, as far as a roster is concerned, of being competitive as anybody else in the AFC. But the talk of him coming off of an ACL injury at 40 years old and being able to maintain this health and being able to then lead the Jets to where they want to get to, that to me is the biggest we have to see it to believe it type factor going into the season in regard to this entire division. But the fact that you smarten up in the top 10, I understand completely the idea of going and trying to get a wide receiver or trying to move up and get Odunze. That was my favorite player in the entire draft. I understand the desire, because that's exactly what I wanted the Bills to do as well. But they made the smart play. And that's what I think was the biggest difference maker for the Jets this offseason as compared to maybe other offseasons in the past, where they're trying to add things to a team that needed to stabilize in the more important areas, in particular the offensive line. And Aaron Rodgers' health is going to be the biggest factor in terms of the success that the Jets have this coming season. So going offensive line in your top 10 pick, shoring that up, and at least knowing you go into this year with a better offensive line than you had this year, in addition to the moves they made in the offseason, certainly a major step forward for the Jets. And then you add another wide receiver to a team that's already very young and certainly can be effective with Aaron Rodgers out on the field. As mentioned earlier, Ryan said 7 wins with Zach Wilson. This team's going to go through this defense whether Aaron Rodgers is out there or not. But the difference is if Aaron Rodgers can go out and score 20 points, on average each and every week, this is going to get that Jets team up to probably double-digit victories, barring any major injuries or anything out of the ordinary. So you add a weapon for Aaron Rodgers towards the top. You shore up that offensive line in this offseason. I thought what the Jets did in particular out of all 4 teams this offseason was probably the most beneficial to their most recent success here coming up. And, of course, down the line as well, because you're going to be able to maintain that line for whoever comes in for Rodgers, and you're going to be able to have weapons around the succession plan as well. So I think it's all contingent on Aaron Rodgers' health, everything. But based on what the Jets have done, assuming that he stays healthy, I really liked what the Jets did this offseason to make a step forward and really tighten up the top of the AFC East. I do think it's going to be the most competitive we've seen it in probably the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, I agree. We did get a donation here from Noah. $5 donation says, here's a donation for Bills Mafia's 2024 wannabe Super Bowl banner. Y'all can use that to wipe your tears once again. Noah throwing some shade to Bills Mafia. Shout out to you, Noah. I mean, dude, let me tell you guys, as YouTubers, I think we can all agree and truly say from the bottom of our hearts that without your support in liking and donating, we could not be here. So thank you guys for supporting the channel, especially for those of you who donate. But damn, Noah, you really came at everybody's neck there. Damn, Bills Mafia, you guys went down quick. But CB, do you have any thoughts on the Jets, kind of draft class from this year?
Yeah, man. And I think Z-Bot said it. I mean, it comes down to Aaron Rodgers staying healthy. I like the Fashanu pick. That's the shoring up the offensive line. You can never have too many good offensive linemen on a roster. So I like the pick. I think the sleeper pick for them is Jordan Travis late. Jordan Travis could come in and make some plays for them eventually. Aaron Rodgers kind of sitting behind Rodgers and learning for a year or a couple of years could be great for him. I'm a big Florida State fan. I think he was kind of slept on as a quarterback. And I think if he gets around a guy like Rodgers, that he can really learn and really come into his own as a quarterback in the NFL. So I like Jordan Travis. I like Fashanu. I think they had a really good roster anyways, right? You guys had a good roster. It just was a matter of Aaron Rodgers staying healthy. Coming off that Achilles injury, it's going to be tough, right? It's going to be tough.
The
Hopefully
nice thing
he's
is it's his
healthy.
non-plant leg. So it's the lead leg that he's going to be a little weaker on.
Yeah. And that's what you just want to make sure he's not overcompensating in areas, like overcompensating in that other leg. So I'm sure, with all the technology we have now, he'll be back to where he was at one point. Staying healthy is going to be key for you guys. I like the Fashanu pick. I like, the receiver you guys picked up. Jordan Travis, sleeper. FSU go Knowles, man.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah, so Z-Bot, now is your time to shine because now is your time to talk about your Buffalo Bills. What were your thoughts on the draft class? I thought that they had the third best draft class in this entire AFC East. I didn't think it was too far off between these three teams. I had the Patriots, Jets, Bills, and then obviously the Dolphins. I think they were in their own group, separate from everybody else. But I thought like the top three teams, they really were not too far off from each other. I think I gave the Bills a B also for their draft class. But you want to break that down for us, what you thought about that class?
Yeah, totally fair. I think I would probably agree with you to some extent. In the beginning, I absolutely hated it. When they make that move with the Chiefs, I was irate. If anybody tuned in to watch us during the first round live, I was just tweaking out about it. I absolutely hated it. I still hate it now. I hate any idea of working with the Kansas City Chiefs in any capacity. The fact that wound up being a move made with Kansas City to allow them to get a wide receiver, which was, of course, what the Bills were honing in on, made it even worse for me, especially a guy who is as fast as Xavier Worthy is. He's been the fastest guy in the combine in recent memory, and the Bills allow him to go to the Chiefs with their pick. Now, I know the argument was, well, they would have taken him anyways. Well, fine. You take him with your pick, not with the Bills pick. They'll be forever linked. So for that reason alone, it left a stain on this draft, regardless of whether Brandon Beane hit it out of the park with an A+ or not, whether you feel that way. And the Bills draft in particular, based on all the people I've seen put out grades and stuff, it seems to be the most divisive. I've seen as low as a C or a C-. I've seen as high as an A. There really seems to be no general consensus. I kind of like that, because it kind of lets you know that there's a lot of uncertainty in regard to these boomer bust type players towards the top, like Keon Coleman, who is considered to be almost a Josh Allen type draft pick in the sense that if he hits and he winds up going to the ceiling that he's capable of, he could be an absolute all-star, but there's going to take some time for him to get there. The Bills don't really have time for him to develop. So that's the interesting key for me on the Keon Coleman pick. But I know the talk in here just a couple of minutes ago was about the Stephon Diggs loss and how major that's going to be. I agree in the sense that you can't necessarily off the bat replace an all-pro receiver who has had 1,000 yards every single season with the Bills, led the league in targets with the Buffalo Bills, was one of the better receivers in general across the league with the Bills. You can't just immediately replace somebody like that with one player. But what the Bills did towards the second half of the year last year was they replaced Diggs with him already being on the field. And they didn't just do it with one player. They did it by almost completely changing the style of play that they approached the offensive side of the ball with. They ran the ball more than they threw it, which is saying a hell of a lot when Josh Allen's your quarterback. It was about a 52-48 clip in favor of running the football. And then when we're talking about throwing the ball, they got everybody collectively involved. Stephon Diggs' stats last year were very top heavy. I think he had over 100 yards in 4 of the first 5 games. I think he'd only go on to have another 100-yard game once after around the bye week mark. The Bills got everybody involved. Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir really stepped up in a way no one saw coming. Gabe Davis is now gone, of course, as well. So you have 2 of your top receivers that are gone. But what has been replaced in terms of getting those guys out of the building and bringing new guys into the wide receiver locker room, you have Curtis Samuel, who I think is extremely underrated based on the fact that he has played with some very poor quarterback talent throughout his time. And anytime a wide receiver goes from that type of quarterback play to Josh Allen, they've seen nearly close to, if not career highs, every single time. We're talking about John Brown. We're talking about, obviously, Stephon Diggs. We're talking about Cole Beasley. I think Curtis Samuel steps up. So I know that's not a draft pick, but when you pair that with Keon Coleman, of course, the Bills' first pick and the first pick of the second round. He's a wide receiver the Bills have not had in recent memory. He's not going to be a guy that burns you off the line. He's not going to be a guy that's going to torch you down the field with yak yards once he gets his hands on it. But what he is what they haven't had. And that's a guy who can bully you in the air and grab those 50-50 balls. And that's what Josh Allen likes to throw. Josh Allen likes to throw the ball down the field and have faith in the fact that the guy's going to come down and get it. And that doesn't necessarily mean he has to have a 2-3 yard gap between his defender in order to catch the ball. He's a guy that is going to be bigger than most cornerbacks that he faces. And if he winds up being able to take advantage of that size, the athleticism, it's going to be a weapon that Josh Allen has not had in his arsenal. So I don't think that they've replaced Stephon Diggs. I don't think that they necessarily could have unless they really made a move up that Brandon Beane said was never in the cards. But I don't know if the plan was ever to actually completely replace that top receiver. I think the plan is going to be more conducive to what we saw a season ago towards the back half, where they run the ball efficiently, allow Josh Allen to run the ball as well, which is something he wasn't doing in the first half of the year, and then get a variety of these receivers involved, especially Dalton Kincaid, who I think has a much better year this year. But the addition of Keon Coleman was major. The Bills had to go wide receiver with their first pick. That is what they did. And we were talking a little bit off air, but the gamble that Brandon Beane has made, the bet that he has put on Keon Coleman, it has to have Bills fans. Obviously, right now, it's all hearsay until we see it out on the field, but it has to have you confident because he passed on a variety of other guys in addition to trading with both the Kansas City Chiefs and the Carolina Panthers. It goes to show you just how much they loved Keon Coleman. And one of those factors is that you can tell already based on his interviews, he's a guy that fits with the Bills perfectly. They love high character guys. They love likable guys. He is going to be that. He already really is that off the bat. And we know that was one of the biggest issues with Stephon Diggs towards the end. Now, that doesn't win you football game. It's not going to show up on the scoreboard, but it certainly means a lot to Brandon Beane in this organization. They got that aspect of it with Keon Coleman. And I think when you factor in Josh Allen being the guy who's throwing him the ball, and they have other weapons around them that aren't necessarily top of the league guys. But like you mentioned a little bit earlier, Kobe, I don't think anybody will ever touch what the Patriots did when it comes to taking non-household names and dominating with them year in and year out. But the Bills have a collective unit right now that they feel confident in their ability to be able to come together and perhaps supplement the loss in yards and the loss in efficiency we're going to get from Stephon Diggs. They're going to be able to supplement it in a collective manner as opposed to one guy being able to do that. So really loved the Keon Coleman pick. I just didn't love how the Bills ended up getting to it. But at the end of the day, there were, 7 to 9 receivers, or maybe even more than that within the first 45 picks or so. These guys are all going to be linked to one another. So it's a gamble for everybody involved, including Brandon Beane. But thus far, I'm confident in Brandon Beane's decision-making and his ability to tell us, hey, this was the guy we're showing you based on all the moves we made to get him and all the moves we didn't make to wind up taking him as well. So you add that to the fact that the Bills pretty much addressed every positional group of need. It wasn't just receiver. It was the most glaring. I mean, when you lose your top 2 receivers on paper within the span of a month in the offseason, that, of course, is going to be the most glaring need, but it certainly wasn't the only one. And that's why I love within their first 4 picks, they add Ray Davis in the 4th round to go behind James Cook. They did not have that running back 2 punch that they were going to be confident in going into the season with. They wind up getting that in Ray Davis. Many people thought that was sort of a steal in that type of area. You shore up the line with Dwayne Carter, and then Cole Bishop comes in with the secondary that is depleted for these Buffalo Bills. You lose Tre'Davious White, you lose Jordan Poyer. Micah Hyde's still up in the air. We're not sure if he will return, but as of now, he is currently not with the Buffalo Bills. So that was a major move as well. And then in the later rounds, they shore up a lot of depth when it comes to the line, and in particular, on both sides. an area that the Bills feel confident in right now. But when it comes to the depth based on injuries last year, you can never have enough. And that includes the linebacker position as well. So in terms of addressing all of the different needs, I like what the Buffalo Bills did. I personally was upset with them not going wide receiver twice. They had 10 picks and they do not double dip at wide receiver. And then to add insult to injury, at least to me, the next day when the draft's over, you go and add Chase Claypool, which to me is just doing a whole lot of nothing but adding for the training camp. I mean, I know there's a lot of people, and this is how it is. If the Dolphins signed, which they did last year, but if the Dolphins signed Chase Claypool, you never heard anybody talking about it last year, right? Because nobody cared. But now Bills fans bring in Chase Claypool, and everyone's thinking, oh, well, maybe he'll resurrect his career. The last 4 seasons, he hasn't collectively had what a decent season would be in 1 year for a top 20-ish wide receiver. So I would have loved to have had the additional upside of another young wide receiver coming out of the draft. I was stunned that Brandon Beane didn't go wide receiver twice. There were people saying that he might do it twice within the first 4 picks. I didn't think that would happen. It's not in his bag of tricks to go that heavy on offensive weaponry early on. But the fact that they had all of these picks stemming from round 2 all the way down to round 7, especially when you get to the 4 through 6 rounds where he had a ton of picks, to not go twice at wide receiver certainly didn't sit well with me. I just would have loved to have had one additional guy to see what he's got because, fellas, as you know, the amount of guys in these mid rounds that wind up being effective for these teams, whether it's on the high end of efficiency or even just role players, it's starting to grow year in and year out at the wide receiver position. But to bow it up, the one thing that stood out to me the most was moving with the Chiefs. I hated it. But when you look back at all the needs the Bills actually had in addition to wide receiver, I was happy with the way Brandon Beane was able to utilize all the picks that he had and made sure that they were delegated to areas of need. I feel good about the depth this year, and I do feel good about, despite losing Stephon Diggs, the Bills to me are in a spot right now under Joe Brady with the emergence of James Cook to where you can feel better about it than you probably would have going into the season last year. But to say the Bills are better right now than they were, that to me, I don't buy it. I know there's a lot of Bills fans that want to say that. I think the Bills and the Dolphins took a marginal to maybe a slightly more than marginal step back this offseason. They lost so many starters.
Z-Bot, don't talk about my team. Don't talk about my guys, man.
The one thing that we're in relationship with is the fact that we did lose a lot of veteran leadership. And that, of course, is something that we won't know what that looks like until we see it. But I don't think that either team got knock them down the totem pole bad. I just don't understand the idea of saying that they got better. But with that said, I don't know how much worse they got either. It's all going to depend on how they utilize all of these guys collectively, as opposed to maybe relying on 1 or 2 guys far more than they would now compared to the past.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Guys, real quick, we have 318 people watching right now with over 200 on YouTube alone. Guys, we only have 108 likes. Make sure you smash that like button for us right now. Believe it or not, I say this to my channel all the time. It's not just for looks. You actually hitting the like button tells YouTube that this channel, this video is worth putting out there in the YouTube algorithm, and it helps us grow tremendously. So please make sure you guys leave that big like on the video. It takes you less than a second. Richie Fresh is coming back in here with a $10 donation and says, Diggs was abysmal after week 6. We did not have what we did. We did not have what we did this last year with second and third string defense in second. What makes Jets fans genuinely think 40-year-old Rodgers is going to be great, and Fins with their epic collapse? Ooh, Bills fans are coming in here.
I like the heat he's bringing, but for Rodgers, Jet fans aren't even hoping for him to be great. We're just hoping for him to be top 20. Zach Wilson, I think, was number 36 out of 32 starting quarterbacks. That's what's so bonkers about this whole thing. So I think if Rodgers just plays to a top 20 level, and I think I saw a poll recently, 91% of fans expect Rodgers to be a top 10 quarterback. And I'm just looking for top 20. If I get a top 20 quarterback, Jets are going to be a very tough team to beat.
And let me just address this epic collapse. I mean, yeah, we had players go down. I mean, we had 2 edge defenders.
Come on.
Who are the best at their position. Best at their position go down. We had safeties hurt. We had everybody hurt, man. But it's okay. Hey, that just makes the story better next year when we go to the Super Bowl and we take the whole entire thing. It just makes it
I'm
a
loving
little bit better.
Richie's point here, though. It needs to be addressed because it's the two biggest things to me that I understand looking on paper and thinking the Dolphins should win the thing, right? Or if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, the Jets should be right there to win the thing. But those two things have to be addressed in the sense that the idea that Aaron Rodgers is just going to magically come in and be healthy, that's the assumption, but it has to play out. And then with the Dolphins, a 3-game lead with about 5 or 6 weeks left and that epic collapse to a rookie quarterback in the Tennessee Titans. It's for those two reasons that I like Global was saying earlier. I can't knock the Bills down yet until I see the Dolphins be able to maintain that success that they clearly have shown every year under Tua, because no one can deny that they have shown throughout every season with him they're capable of being one of the better teams in the league. It's just not being able to sustain it. So the Dolphins have to prove that, and then the Jets have to prove that they can stay healthy. If those two things happen, it's going to be a crazy run toward the top.
You're right. And our guys, like, this is McDaniel's second year. Well, last year was his second year as an NFL head coach. I think we got to give our guys a little bit of grace in terms of, like, just learning the system, learning how to win, learning the process. Guys did get injured down the stretch. There's no excuse. We collapsed, right? But I think it's only going to make us better. And we've gotten better each year. And that's what I do like under Mike McDaniel. He does find a way to get his team better every year, right? Last year we lost to you guys in the playoffs, right? Which was, I thought we played a solid game. Skylar Thompson struggled in the game. But this year we go and we play the Super Bowl champs in their house. They beat everybody. They beat the Ravens. They beat everybody. So I think we're in a position where we lost some guys for sure. We lost some key players, some key veterans. But we aren't going to look to replace those guys. We're going to replace their production. We're going to bring in 3 or 4 defensive linemen that can replace what Christian Wilkins did, right? I didn't like the fact that all our defensive linemen were getting all of these reps, right? They're not being deployed in a platoon. We got to do better with the rotations. We got to run guys on the field, and we got to play good football. And I think Mike McDaniel will have us ready to go. And I know we say this every year, but I think it's going to come down to the Miami Dolphins, the Bills, or the Jets. And I think this division is going to be very, very strong this year. I think it's going to be very strong. And I'm looking forward to seeing. Hopefully it plays out the way I think it plays out. Everybody's competitive. And everybody's going down to the stretch and trying to take that thing.
Yeah, definitely heard that story before. Definitely heard that story. The AFC East is going to be lights out this year. Like, every team could make the playoffs, and then we all just totally crapped the bag. But you know what? Shout out to
it was just the Jets. It was just the Jets last year who didn't live up to the hype. I think
the Patriots didn't live up to the hype either. Like, I think
there was no hype.
There was a lot more hype for the Patriots than being a 4-win team. This was a team that made the playoffs in 2021. This was a team that in 2022 was 1 game away. They had their own fate. 1 game away from making the playoffs. Yet again, there was a lot of hype, not for them to be a contender, not for them to even win the AFC East, but for them to at least be a team that had the potential to make the playoffs, and they were a 4-win team. You know what? Every single team in the AFC East this past year crapped the bag, and I don't even think it's a discussion. But Glenn, a big-time supporter of the AFC East Roundtable. This man goes crazy. Longtime supporter of the AFC East Roundtable says he likes the new AFC East panel. Thanks. We're actually calling it Timu AFC East Roundtable, but we appreciate that.
Hey, nah, we ain't going out like that.
We the Timu. That's what we're being called, apparently. That. We're like the knockoff AFC East Roundtable, right? But
we're not the A team. We're the BFC East.
Yeah. Someone said, so this is the B team, huh? And I was like, all right. But he also says, problem with Aaron is the last good game with Aaron. It was 2021, same year. Watson had it a last good game. So I think he's trying to compare like Aaron Rodgers to what you kind of saw from Watson.
Sure. So Watson missed years entirely. Now, obviously, Rodgers missed all of last year. But the last time Rodgers was pissed off, he won back-to-back MVPs with our offensive coordinator. So I think there's something to keep in mind with that. And remember, Aaron Rodgers did break his thumb week 5 of the 2022 season. Before that, he was averaging about 70% completion percentage, had 8 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. Sure, it could certainly be him trending down. I mean, obviously Peyton Manning fell off a cliff when he got, up there in age. So it's definitely up in the air for Rodgers. But I think as long as we get top 20 play, like this team's going to run through Breece Hall in this defense, and Aaron Rodgers is just going to be the ultimate game manager. And if he can do that, the Jets will be fine.
I agree. So let's just move on because, guys, we do still have to get to overall rookie minicamp for each of our teams. So move on here a little bit quicker. CB, why don't you touch upon your overall thoughts about the Dolphins draft? Because I think I gave it like a C. There were C pluses in there. Dan actually gave the Dolphins a worse grade than I did for everybody who went off on me. So don't get on me too much, but I don't think it's even close. The Dolphins had the worst class in the AFC East, and I think
so?
that they could have done a lot better.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I think it's honestly not even close that they had the worst in the AFC East. But what were your thoughts? Let's hear your thoughts.
I like Chop Robinson. I think you're getting a prime position, right? And I think the Miami Dolphins were in a position where you have to get a guy who's in a prime position, like premium position players, edge defenders, tackles, wide receivers, corners. A lot of those guys are on islands, right? They're playing by themselves, right? And they're playing one-on-one against other players in the NFL. With Chubb being out, with Jalen Phillips having an injury as well, you had to go get a guy who you can rotate in, a young guy who has a lot of upside, right? When you look at his athleticism, it's similar to Bosa, similar to, the top edge defenders who came out in the draft. So I like the Chop Robinson pick. Patrick Paul is going to be a project. We don't know if he's going to play guard or tackle. But a lot of people were kind of mad at that pick because they felt like, hey, we should have got a guy who we can plug in right now in the interior, right? There's still a void there in our interior offensive line. As far as the Muhammad Kamara pick, the other edge defender, I think that's a solid pickup, right? I feel like you can never have too many guys at those premium positions. And then we also picked up Jalen Wright, the running back out of Tennessee, who's a tremendous athlete. And honestly, it's going to push that room to get better. And I think that's already a really good room with Raheem Mostert, Devon A-Chain. You also have some other guys back there like the kid from BYU. So you have some players there. And then we've been and picked up 2 wide receivers, Malik Washington out of Virginia, who's a player, who's a stud.
He's a stud.
A stud, right?
Dude, he plays way bigger than I thought he was like 6'1" when I was looking at him. And then I looked up his height and he was like 5'8".
He's like, incredible
mighty.
So the kid's a stud. It reminds me of like a Steve Smith type guy, right? Mm-hmm. And then we go get a speedy guy like Taj Washington. And then we also get Patrick McMorris, the safety out of Cal. So I think the Miami Dolphins kind of set themselves up in free agency to really just get best player available or guys that are at premium positions like edge defenders and receivers and guys who got to win on that island. So I like what the Miami Dolphins did. A lot of people are, saying the Miami Dolphins had the worst draft class, but time will tell as we kind of go through this season, as we see these guys develop. In the end, I think you guys could be sleeping on our draft guys.
What did you give the like a grade to the Dolphins for the draft class?
I think I gave it a B-.
Okay.
Right? I think a B-. I think that was where I was at. I don't think I was at a C for sure. I definitely wasn't at a C. I think it's between B+, in that range. But I think it's a B-type draft. And I think if Chop Robinson hits and Patrick Paul becomes a player, then you're talking about a draft that's an A, point blank period, right? Because those are 2 guys that have a lot of upside. Patrick Paul is probably one of the most athletic tackles, put over 30 reps on the bench, super strong, super big, has good feet. If he can step into that into that zone scheme offense and just kind of mow guys down and pass protect like he's capable, bro, there's no telling. So I think you guys could be sleeping on our draft. You could be.
I think it was a sneaky draft because I do like a lot of your picks. I don't love Chop Robinson, I'll be honest. Not necessarily, I think it was a little bit of a reach, but I think it says a little bit more about your other edge rushers and the health they might have heading into the season.
You're right.
I like Patrick Paul from a developmental tackle spot. I like Mo Kamara, Malik Washington, and Jalen Wright. I think the middle part of your draft was the strongest part of your draft.
Yeah,
I don't think it's as bad. I think somewhere in the B's is probably fair.
And I agree with that, right? So I think the middle part of their draft was very strong. Now, let's say Chop Robinson is a hit and Patrick Paul is a hit. You got to be thinking, man, this was a good draft for the Dolphins if these guys come out and make plays in their rookie year. Chop Robinson, we'll see how it works out, but he has the profile. And, you know, if he gets out there and makes plays this year, people are going to be like, damn, that was a sneaky good pick by the Dolphins. I think Jared Verse was our target for sure. But once he came off the board, I think the Miami Dolphins pivoted to Chop and took him.
Yeah. I think right now with, these draft grades, all you can talk about is outlook and value, right? Because at the end of the day, it's we can talk about this in a year. We can talk about this really, I think, in 2 years to really talk about what these draft classes have become. Like that's something I do on my channel is I do my draft grades immediately after, and then I revisit them a year later, see how they are a year into the system. And right now, we can't say what they're going to be. We can talk about potential. We can say they're going to be great. We can say they're going to be a bust. Nobody on that spectrum is right or wrong until we see how these guys play. So it's all about value and kind of the outlook on where your team is at all of those positions. But Z-Bot, you got any final thoughts on the Dolphin draft class here?
I think Ryan put it perfectly. It's more sneaky. I haven't heard out of all three of these teams, it feels like the Dolphins draft class is the one that's talked about the least. I think it's because Chop Robinson has that big question mark surrounding him. But I think there was no secret that he was as talented as anybody at the edge position in this draft. It was just a matter of whether or not the health is going to be a concern. But I don't hate that pick. I think going, in your back-to-back picks on the line where it feels like, one, the Dolphins had to replace their losses on the defensive line. And then on the offensive line, you can never protect two or more. I know he gets the ball out quicker than anybody, but if you're able to allow him even more time, it's going to be more than beneficial for these Dolphins moving forward. Sneaky would be the best way for me to put it. I think when it comes down to all four of these teams, I think the Jets clearly had the best draft to me. I think that the Jets probably had the best offseason, just in terms of one. You have to factor in Rodgers coming back. I think that that's a big part of it because I think that that's just something that is going to be the most. Like I keep saying, their success is only going to go as far as Rodgers' health, and it's looking like he's going to be ready to rock. And if that winds up being sustained, then the Jets are in a good spot. I like what they did in the draft as well. And then, of course, with the Patriots, I don't know how you can adequately grade a team that takes a quarterback at 3, because it's all, no matter how good the rest of the quarterback or the rest of the class is, if that quarterback winds up being another Zach Wilson, well, then it's an F. Like there's no other way to put it, no matter what happens. But I absolutely love Jalen Polk. I was actually stunned the Patriots took him as high as they did, because it looked like he, based on all the mocks you saw, was going to fall probably to the mid to late 40 picks. And I thought he was way better than that. They come up to get him, and I loved the move. But if you just look at what the Patriots did right here on your screen, I think the fact that you take probably the 3 most important positions for this franchise moving forward and their success on the offensive side of the ball in succession there, I like what the Patriots did. And I think that there's a long road to go for New England to get back to relevancy, but this was a solid start. And then with the Bills and the Dolphins, I think that there's a lot of time will tell there. I mean, obviously it's easier to give the credit to the Jets and the Patriots, who are picking towards the top and have the ability to shore things up in a faster manner. But as it stands right now, I would probably give the edge to the Jets in regard to this offseason. And then with the Bills, it's a lot of time will tell to me, just because of the comparisons that the wide receivers are all going to draw together. But I like the fact that they addressed all the areas of need, and I'm dying to see how it all pans out.
Hey, man, TD said y'all got Mac 2.0, man. That's what he said.
Yeah, you know what? TD also said, TD said that you guys had the best wide receiver trio before you got Odell Beckham Jr., which you still don't in the entire National Football League.
I
can't trust anything.
Who's a better trio?
The Seahawks, the Bears.
So the Bengals. So who are the Bengals 3 wide receivers that are better than Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Odell Beckham?
Yeah, the Bengals
This
lost
is in 2016.
so it might not
Hey,
be right.
so who were?
That's fair.
So let's not call out names now.
I wouldn't say I don't know if I would say the Bengals just because they don't.
So
have
who would
Tyler
you say?
Boyd
You're
anymore.
not saying Seattle. Who does Seattle have better than our three?
Seattle has they have
DK
DK
Lockett
Metcalf.
and
They have
JSN.
Lockett.
And
Yeah,
who?
and then
Who's that
and
third?
then they have
JSN.
JSN. And then you also have the Bears. The Bears easily have a better trio than you do. It's not even
Which one?
close.
Which one of them went for 1,700? Which one of them receivers went for 1,700?
We're not
which
talking about. We're not talking about one-on-one punch. If you want to talk about the best wide receiver one, then that's a different
one-on-one punch.
I mean, about the best.
Tyreek's got it made right there.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about the best number one overall guy, we're talking about three guys. We're talking about
we're talking about production.
But anyway,
I think it's marginal. If the Dolphins aren't one, I mean, they're 2 or 3. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they're probably like they're top 3, top 4, but they are not the best. They are not the best, and I don't think that's
Debo and Kittle is pretty legit.
Yeah, I think you have to probably give it. I would probably give it to San Fran. I mean, I think that
that's not a receiver. I said 3 wide receivers.
Kittle's a receiver. He's a tight end, but he's a receiver.
He's a tight end, buddy.
He catches the ball. The hell does that have to matter?
All right, man. You got it.
Anyway, so Ryan,
you got it, Ryan.
Ryan, when you look at the Patriots draft class, what were your thoughts on it?
So I really like Jalen Polk and Javon Baker. I thought those were 2 of the strongest picks in this draft. Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback. It could be a boom, could be a bust. It's so volatile at the top of the draft. I don't think it's fair to grade that right now. I am a little surprised they didn't try to trade out. I thought there would be a lot of teams offering a lot of picks for that number 3 spot. And I thought the Patriots would have tried to follow what the Dolphins did and the success that they've had rebuilding their roster with the massive trade down. I thought the Vikings pick was probably going to be up for grabs. But I guess, if they wanted such a high demand for the picks, they obviously have a lot of love for Drake May. So I like Joe Milton as a late round swing, 6th round pick with some enormous upside. Can't really hit the broadside of a barn right now, but if he can sit and, give you some sort of athletic backup upside, I think that's a good move. I like the Patriots draft overall.
Sweet. All right, CB, that leaves you. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I thought it was a good play getting Drake May and Joe Milton. You pick up players you need. I think the Patriots need a little bit of everything right now, right? So I think just drafting is great for you guys because you do need to fill holes. You do need to get better. I think it's a good draft for you guys. I like the thought of picking up 2 quarterbacks. Those guys are going to have the opportunity to battle, grow, and compete with one another. You pick up a tackle, you pick up a wide receiver. I mean, it helps. I like Javon Baker too. He's solid. So it's a solid draft.
All right, yeah, sweet. Okay, so it sounds like nobody hates the Patriots draft, and that's what I like to hear because those days hopefully are over. We had a lot of bad drafts in the past. I mean, just go back to 2019, like that was absolutely abysmal. It has to be one of the worst drafts in NFL history. But yeah, I know a lot of you guys are kind of asking, and I've said, Patriots Global, what are your thoughts on the rest of the teams? I went on my rants all last week. So go ahead and check out last week's live stream here on the AFC East Roundtable if you want to hear overall all my thoughts. In terms of the Patriots draft, I'm just going to make this super quick. If you want to hear my breakdown, grades on each pick, and overall grade for the Patriots, I just dropped a 30-minute breakdown on my channel at Patriots.
Quick, Colby, make it quick, please.
I'll go quick, CB. I got it. I know nobody wants to hear about the Patriots these days.
Please, let's get to the good stuff. Come on, hurry up.
I think Drake May was an A+ pick. I know people talked about trading down, but quarterback is the most important position in sports. You need a quarterback to win in today's league. Drake May in any other draft is QB1, right? Caleb Williams is an anomaly. You had Jaden Daniels obviously go number 2. He was the Heisman Trophy winner this past season. Those guys always go high, so obviously I understand. I think Drake May is a perfect fit for the Patriots. I mean, the fact that they were able to land him at 3 was something that is I think the NFL is going to regret that. I really do. In terms of the rest of these picks, I think the Patriots got good value in terms of Jaheim Bell in the 7th. He was projected 5th. Even Joe Milton in the 6th, he had a 5th round projection on him too. Javon Baker was expected to be a 3rd round. Patriots got him in the 4th. This guy has a massive chip on his shoulder because of it. He is not happy that he dropped. And he even said there is no way that there are 10 better receivers in America America that are better than him. He even said as soon as he was drafted by the Patriots to grab your popcorn because he is going to make people in wheelchairs stand up, which is an absolute insane thing to say as soon as you're drafted. And let me tell you, if Belichick was still here, he probably would have been cut immediately after saying that. I know the Jalen Polk pick to some was a little bit early. He was like a projected third-round pick. I
love that for you guys. I love that.
But he's a really good number 2. The way that I see the Patriots wide receiver picks, Jalen Polk is an insanely high floor, not really a high ceiling. Javon Baker, not really this high floor, but an insane ceiling. Javon Baker, can be a wide receiver 1, or he could be a wide receiver 4. With Jalen Polk, he's probably never going to be a wide receiver 1, but you're very, very confident that he is going to be your number 2 wide receiver year after year after year. What brought down the overall grade for me was Caden Wallace in the 3rd and Layden Robinson to start the 4th. Didn't love those value picks for the Patriots. I thought that there were better options. But again, I know not everybody wants to hear about the Pats here. So if you want to hear my overall breakdowns on those players, check out my channel. But this is now where we are going to get into, I think, what a lot of you guys have been waiting for. And
Colby,
that is
look at the chat. Colby, look at the chat.
No freaking way. Hold up. We got to stop. We're about to get into rookie minicamp, but we have a special guest.
Don't tell me that was Ryan who timed me out.
I timed out TD in the chat.
That bum Ryan.
I was trying to make you a mod until I could boot you.
Man, hold on. Do I got a landscape over there? There we go, man. Man, I'm sitting there. I'm commenting. I'm like, why my comments not going through? Time me out.
It was only 5 minutes.
Man, y'all doing a great job, man. Z-Bot, stop making excuses for that bum Josh Allen, man.
What did I even say?
I don't know. You just look like a Josh Allen.
Where are you? Where are you at? A Cracker Barrel? What the hell is going on there?
No, man. I'm at Disney right now, man. I'm waiting on this light show at 9 o'clock.
Oh, let's go. All right.
Hey,
TD, get out of there. I'm telling you, as soon as the light show over, get out of there, bro. It's going to be great.
Bro, we got the extended hours, so we ain't done till 11.
TD loves going to Disney because he knows Tua's never going to be on the parade there, so he's going to go and show up.
Hey, don't just stop disrespecting my quarterback, man. Stop disrespecting my quarterback, bro.
Oh, that's so good.
AFC East, now that the pleasantries are out the way. Tell that bum if he come on tonight, he better stop dodging me, man.
I'll let him know. TD.
I'm going to leave y'all to it, man. Salute to you, CV83, man. You hold it down.
Yes, sir, bro. We about to get it.
And stop giving us B's. We A pluses compared to these bums draft.
Man,
I got to keep it objective, man.
Man, shout out to TD for joining, man. I was not expecting that to happen. That was not planned.
From Disney World, man.
Live from Disney World. Honestly, forget the rest of the video. Forget the rest of the football. And no, just let TD take over and take everybody on a live ride, right? Like I think that's what everybody's waiting for.
Last 2 or 3 times TD's been gone, he has been at Disney. Every time.
He has season pass.
People, they've got the season pass.
Yeah. I've never been to Disney. I know the Bills haven't been on the parade either, as much as I like to take the shots at the Dolphins, but maybe I got to go and start supplementing the Bills' lack of availability there too.
Z-Bot, you ever been to Universal, Harry Potter World?
I've been to Universal. Yes. No Disney for me, though.
Come on, dude, man. Disney's fun, man.
I know. I've always wanted to do it. I guess I'm just for the kids. You know?
Yeah, I'm in Orlando, man. Y'all come to Orlando, give me a shout, man.
Oh, so you're in the heart of it, man.
In the heart of it, man.
I've always wanted to go. It seems like a ball, man.
Dude, it's like life-changing. You're never going to go to another amusement park the same. So like expect it to like ruin every other amusement park for you. But let me tell you, Roundtable Sports, next business meeting, we're all going to Disney World. That's for me. None of this virtual crap.
When the Dolphins win, we can all go, right?
So we're never going there. We're never going to go.
Don't you guys have to win a playoff game in the next 2 decades or something?
Hey, it's okay. We're coming. Don't worry. Be patient. Trust
guys,
the process.
before we get into, of course, some of the rookie minicamp breakdowns, I know that the Jets are the only ones that have actually had rookie minicamp so far. The rest of us are kind of just talking about what we're excited to see for our teams in this upcoming week. At least I know the Patriots and Bills are this week. I don't know about the Dolphins. But before we do that, real quick, want to get into some super chats. Zach of all trades, what an elite name. $5 donation says, keep sleeping on the Bills. They're changing their philosophy with Joe Brady being the offensive coordinator. Diggs' loss will be felt, but the offense won't decline. Z-Bot, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think the nice thing about the Joe Brady experience going into this season is we got a real healthy dose of it this past year, and they literally went on a tear. They had to win out essentially from mid-November on, and they did just that. And it was against multiple playoff teams as well. And they did it in a way that we have yet to see the Bills not only achieve with, but sustain achievement with. I mean, and it all really kind of came to a head against the Cowboys, where the Bills just ran it down their throat and beat the living hell out of them, and then also dominated on the defensive side of things as well. The Bills were also, speaking of injuries, banged up as hell on the defensive side of the ball towards the end of the year last year. So this team is still very much reliant on their defensive success as much as they are on their offensive, side of things. When it comes to the Bills, it gets overshadowed so much because of Josh Allen, but this has been a top 10 defense year in and year out under Sean McDermott. And if they can stay healthy this coming year, and then they can continue to build on what Joe Brady did, because he was able to do what he did last year, being thrown to the wolves. I mean, how would you like it if your crack at OC for the Bills is coming off of a 500 start halfway through the year, off of a firing of a offensive coordinator who didn't even make it through 2 full seasons? Now you're expected to not only take over, but you're expected to go and try to essentially win out in order to make the playoffs. That's exactly what they did. And they did it in a way that no one thought the Bills had the identity to be capable of doing. So it's one of the things I'm most excited for going into this year, because he's now got an additional offseason, a full year now, to add to what we saw this past season. But exciting stuff, definitely, for Joe Brady.
This is my thing about the Bills, Ebot. Like, that should have been the case the entire time.
Oh,
right?
yeah, no question.
Right, it should have been the case the entire time. You don't put the ball into the hands of Josh Allen 40 to 50 times and tell him to throw you to a win. No, you have to be balanced. Like, in the NFL, there has to be some running the ball. There has to be an element that, hey, the defense running the ball is a threat. And that's what you guys have always lacked. You've always relied on Josh Allen to literally carry you, whether it's him running the ball, whether it's him making off-platform throws. That's not sustainable in the NFL, right? So you have to be balanced. You got to be able to run the ball. And that's when you guys became a different football team, when you just started running the ball more, started taking the ball out of Josh Allen's hands some, started using the play action to your advantage.
And the word you use that's so key is balance. And that's why everyone should be excited about Joe Brady. There was a very, very noticeable lack of, 1, balance, and 2, common sense under Ken Dorsey. The Bills were doing things like, for instance, it would be like 3rd and 4, and they'd run a post route to Diggs 15 yards down the field. When Brady took over, it was almost like he said, let's just do the most minimal thing imaginable until you can stop it. And that's why I brought the Cowboys game up, because they didn't go into that game saying, hey, we're going to run the ball 60 times. But what he did is he figured out what was working and they stuck with it. There would be times under Ken Dorsey where they would just do things for the hell of it, even if it wasn't related to what they were working with during the game. So I agree with you completely. And they also took advantage of what Josh Allen's best at, and that's creating plays himself. They weren't running it with him in the beginning of the year, and that might not have been Ken Dorsey's fault because they want to preserve his health. Yeah. But let's be honest, Josh Allen is half the quarterback when you're telling him to put the kiddie wheels on the back of the bike and not being allowed to do what makes him great. And once he starts doing that, it opens up the game plan entirely. So
but I do think that can be an issue though. Like, if you're going to run Josh Allen,
absolutely,
I think you're putting him in harm's way, and that's what you don't want to do to your franchise quarterback, right?
What I think they were doing though is they were pretty much eliminating it. I agree with you. It has to be limited, but there was almost an elimination of it in the beginning of the year. When if you don't pose that threat week in and week out,
you have to pose a threat.
That's the key.
Yeah. And that's the thing about, I like about you guys is that you pose the threat of running Josh Allen, right?
Right.
But like I said, you just have to have the balance. And if you guys have the running backs, like you have the offensive line, it's not an issue if you can't run it.
Yep.
It's just a matter of, hey, commit to running the football, commit to the run game. It's going to help you. It's going to open up a lot for Josh Allen. So, I mean, I like Joe Brady. I like what he did on the back half of the season. Let's see if he can continue that, into this year as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And diehard Pats fan also coming in. Some Patriots representation. I mean,
here we go.
Patriots have been showing out over the last few weeks on the AFC East Roundtable, and I love every part of it, okay? We dominated for 20 years. Now let's dominate the comment section of the AFC East Roundtable every single week. But just, shout out to diehard Pats fan, $5 donation, and says, for those saying the Dolphins were not the worst draft class this season, which team do you feel was the worst then? Honestly, I think diehard Pats fan makes a great point. If the Dolphins were not the worst draft class in the AFC East, then who was?
Oh, in the East?
Yeah, I feel like it's if you weren't going to say the Dolphins, you're probably saying it's maybe a push across the teams. Like, I think I like the Jets draft. I like the Patriots. I like all of them, honestly, to some degree. I think the Dolphins may have had the weakest top end of their draft, but I think the middle part got stronger for them.
Yeah, for sure. But
guys, it wasn't clear cut like, whoa, this one team, holy shit. And then the right, to me, it was pretty linear across the board.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, for me personally, it was like the top three teams. It was like Patriots, and then like Jets, and then like Bills, and then like Dolphins. So that's kind of
hey, y'all got to stop playing with my draft, yo. Y'all got
how it was for me.
My draft was not that bad. Like, stop.
It has
playing,
potential.
bro.
It has potential. But for me, looking at the needs you had, looking at where you doubled up, like, I just think that there were better value picks. I think there were better players on the board for the positions that you ultimately did pick at the time, but it does have potential. At the end of the day, though,
time will tell.
Exactly. Time will tell. But now to talk about what everybody probably came in here for, and that is rookie minicamp, okay? This is the next phase in football. We got rookie minicamp, we got OTAs, we got mandatory minicamp, training camp, preseason, and then football is back, guys. So excited. This is really the next phase of the process here for the NFL in the offseason. And I feel like we have to start with the only team that in the AFC East has actually had rookie minicamp so far, and that is the New York Jets. Ryan, what did you see from rookie minicamp? I know there's not a whole lot to take away, but there is still some things that we can take away. Is there anything that you saw? Any real takeaways from rookie minicamp?
Yeah, I think it's tough at this point in the offseason, but one player that did stand out for a lot of Jet fans, not so much because of what we were able to see from rookie minicamp, because I don't think we saw really anything other than like guys in shorts catching passes and whatnot. Leonard Taylor III out of Miami is an interesting player, guy that was considered this time last year to be in the first round conversation. And I think when we saw the Jets trade away John Franklin Myers for a 2026, I think it was a 6th round pick, we clearly had a hole at that 3, that interior defensive tackle / outside guy that can bump in and out. And I think with Taylor having that type of upside of being maybe a first round pedigree, but going undrafted because of disciplinary issues, or maybe even, I shouldn't say disciplinary issues, but maybe a lack of enthusiasm, taking plays off. He wasn't 100% on every given play. They said maybe he played out of position. He was playing a little bit more nose tackle when he was playing the 3 technique. He really flourished, but he only had 28 opportunities in pass rush situations to play the 3 technique. And when he did, he had a 28% pressure rate. So I think if you have him in a rotational role next to Quinnen Williams, I think there's a lot of upside with that one particular rookie that may be a little bit more off the radar for some of the other teams. So that would be a name to keep an eye on. Other than that, everyone else is pretty much, it's tough to tell right now. It's all assumptions.
Yeah. It's good to just kind of see those guys in like your team's colors and really just start the process, right? There's really not necessarily a lot to take away. And as a Patriots fan, rookie minicamp has always been sweet. I can't wait to see the pictures, but it's a little bit different this year because media is finally going to be allowed in. But let's move on to the Buffalo Bills. Zbot, I know they obviously haven't had it yet. The Patriots is Saturday. I'm not sure when the Bills or the Dolphins is, but I know your guys is coming up too. I think at least the Bills is this week too, if I'm not wrong there. But Zbot, is there anything you're looking out for? Anything you're excited to see from rookie minicamp?
The Bills is Monday the 13th, I think. Let's see. Yeah, Monday would be when the Bills kick things off. Yeah, I mean, I'm more excited to hear. I'm just excited to hear more from Keon Coleman, to be 100% honest with you. He has been must see television every time he gets behind a mic. So I'm excited to hear more from him. And this is the time of year, especially for the Bills right now. This is a very important time of year. Maybe more so than it has been in the past for these Bills, because this is as young of a team as Josh Allen has played with. And he's going into a time now where his veteran leadership and his overall presence has never been more important. This is as young of a team as the Bills not only have had, but will have for the foreseeable future, because they are completely dependent on both sides of the ball for the most part. Now, the defense, not so much, but especially the offense, they are almost solely reliant on first through third year guys to be the difference maker. So this offseason, throughout the summer here, is extremely pivotal for Josh Allen to be able to develop relationships with these new guys, even the veteran leadership. I mean, like Mac Hollins and Curtis Samuel, for instance, coming into the wide receiver locker room, Chase Claypool, none of these guys are younger, or none of these guys are have been around the team. Like almost this entire offense from a weaponry standpoint is either in their first through third year or brand new to the team. So there's a lot to be looking out for as far as development is concerned, and of course, developing relationships. So a very interesting season coming up for these Bills. This is as different of a team as they've had since Josh Allen has entered the league.
Yeah, dude, I'm actually really excited to see what the Buffalo Bills is going to be like, right? Because Josh Allen didn't really take that leap as that franchise quarterback. He looked like a bust for the first couple of years, and then he finally turned into a franchise quarterback when Stephon Diggs came in. Is that what he needed to develop into what he is now, or is he solely reliant on Stephon Diggs? I think that's the question that not just Bills fan, but everybody is kind of here watching, especially for me. Like Keon Coleman was the type of guy that I wasn't necessarily the biggest on. I wasn't his biggest fan. But he serves in that role that I think that the Buffalo Bills need, and can definitely be that replacement that they need between Stephon Diggs and especially Gabe Davis. So I'm definitely going to watch the Bills closely. But CB, what are you looking for from Dolphins rookie minicamp? Also, do you know when Dolphins rookie minicamp is?
Yeah, we start off this weekend. So we go the 10th through the 12th. So we go Friday basically through Sunday. So yeah, it'll be a good opportunity for the guys to get out there, start integrating them into the system. And I think that's what rookie minicamp is for, just kind of getting guys into the system, learning where the cafeteria is, learning where their meeting rooms are and stuff like that. They're probably going to have a chance to interact with their position coaches. Some of the other guys will be in the building. They'll get a chance to meet those guys. So I think that's what it's about at this point, just kind of getting them into the rotation of, hey, this is individual drills. This is what we do. This is team stuff. This is one-on-ones, and just kind of getting in the process of like knowing what to do. But it'll be cool to see what guys do. I'm looking forward to the reporting. I think the media being in the building is going to be good, so they get a chance to get eyes on those guys as well. So looking forward to it, man. I think it'll be good for the integration of our guys into the system, and that's what it's about at this point.
Yeah. Again, that's why we wanted to kind of come on here and give their takes on their, each individual draft classes, because there's really just not a whole lot to talk about with rookie minicamp. And I guess that really only leaves, the Patriots in this case. And there's really not a whole lot that we can say we know what to expect from Patriots rookie minicamp, because again, unlike a lot of other teams, the media has never been able to actually attend Patriots rookie minicamp. I think the last time was like 2012 or something absurd like that was the last time the media was allowed into rookie minicamp. So I'm not even 100% sure what to expect. But what I'm really excited to see is I'm excited to see Drake May throw. And I know there's not going to be a lot of contact. It's not, 7-on-7, 11-on-11. It's not real competitive football just yet. But I just want to see him actually throw the ball. I want to see how good is his spiral? How good is the velocity on the ball? How far can he throw the ball? Different things like that. And that's the same exact thing that I want to see with Joe Milton too. And then I'm also excited to kind of see both of the wide receivers and kind of what roles. Now, we're not going to see that too much, but, an idea of what role, the Patriots might see both of those guys in. And yeah, I'm just excited to see these guys in Patriots helmets and colors and just get some videos. At the end of the day, it really can't be too worse than who was it? Xavier Worthy, I think at the Chiefs training, or not training camp, but rookie mini camp, where dude was like half running routes and then not catching passes. That was crazy. As long as none of our players look like that, I think it's an absolute dub. Ryan, you okay over there, buddy?
Dude, I bought a helmet online. It turns out it's actually an official helmet.
Are you serious, dude?
I'm getting a replica. I'm ready to run through a wall. Put me on, coach.
That thing's
Dude, are you
killer.
kidding? Ryan, I actually made this. So this is real, bro. This is a real football helmet that I turned myself into a Patriots helmet, like painted it, did all that.
Oh,
and
nice.
now I got a bunch of signatures on it. So, bro, me and you, oh my God, bro. We got CB here too.
Dude, I gotta get a visor. I need the Oakley
Zebot.
Prism lens here. You shouldn't see my ugly mug.
So apparently Zebot doesn't have a helmet. So Zebot, I think
No, I gotta get one. That's killer. I freaking love it, man. That's awesome.
I think Zebot's gonna have to be the head coach in that case, and
I'll be the coach.
We're gonna team up.
I gotta get my helmet game up. That's killer. I love those.
Yeah, dude, they're freaking awesome. But now is the best time of the show. This is the moment that all of you guys wait for, and that is Patreon members. So if you're a Patreon member, come on in. I know we've had some of you guys waiting for a little bit. Let's set this up. Make sure that I bring in the right layout. All right, there we go. So let's start off here with Andy. Andy, how you doing, buddy?
Andy,
What's going on, guys?
What's good?
what's happening, brother?
Just chilling, enjoying hearing all the draft talk.
Nothing like it, right? I'm not gonna lie. There's
Love how everyone's just talking shit about my team, like we haven't won the division 5 years in a row.
Tell him, Andy. Tell him.
Every year I hear, Buffalo's going down, but yet every year another division title.
I feel like this is the first year you guys lost like a solid amount of players. Like the Von Miller contract, the best thing he could have done is probably retire for you guys. But like,
I mean, he did take a huge pay cut. So I mean, it's not like we're paying him $30 million. He's getting paid 14. So it's a little different.
So what are you excited for anything specific, Andy, for like Bill's rookie minicamp? Again, we know that there's not going to be a lot of takeaways from it, but it's our first real look at these new players with our respective teams as they transition to the NFL. So
I'm looking forward to seeing how they're looking. I'm looking forward to seeing all their jersey numbers because I only know a couple. So.
Oh, that's another great point, right? Because, I mean, of course, they could change them, but especially for, like, the Patriots, when Belichick was here, they would do, like, if you're the first pick, you're 50, and then 51 for second rounders and stuff like that. We're actually seeing these players with what their numbers are likely going to be for the season. And I think that's another really exciting part of rookie minicamp because you can start to buy these jerseys for these players that the team drafted.
Yep.
They gave Olu Fashanu Nick Mangold's number, 74, and I feel like a lot of Jet fans are a little fired up at that. He's not... the number's not retired for us, but it's not a number that we've seen given out yet.
That's interesting.
For sure. Well,
I mean, we'll see if you last that long.
Andy, man, we appreciate you for tuning in, man, and popping out and being a Patreon member. Any last words you want to say before you hop on out of here?
Before anybody talks about winning the division other than Bills fans, Miami, how about you win a playoff game and Jets make the playoffs for once? Well, why don't you?
Andy.
Go off, Andy. Go off.
It's going to be 25 years, CB, and you over here talking about you're muted. He's muted.
You guy's an idiot.
Still
it's
muted.
all right, buddy. It's all right, CB. Don't worry, buddy. Don't worry.
Ever right there. That's incredible.
Keep going.
All right, Andy, man. We appreciate you for tuning in, man. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Yep. See you next week.
I think we have TD in here again, so I think TD's trying to show us.
Oh, fireworks.
Dude, are you at Magic Kingdom?
We celebrating, baby. Tua got his contract, baby. 80 million.
Did he actually get a contract?
80 million a year.
No, I'd be there celebrating. I'd be the one there celebrating.
Yeah, exactly. You better overpay
explode.
for a quarterback that's not going to play a full season for you.
80 million, man.
80 million per year?
Annually, yeah.
You're going to make him the highest paid quarterback.
Best player in the league. Now it's
I
trying
hope
to
that you guys do, TD. I really hope you do, because that means you'll have less money to spend elsewhere, and you put all your money on a quarterback that
stop, Kobe. Stop.
isn't going to excel
Mac
the
Jones
offense past its
2.0.
limitations.
Stop.
Let's remember, TD, that you guys were going to try to trade for Deshaun Watson because he didn't believe in Tua. You gave him 2 wide receiver ones, and then he finally popped off for you. He doesn't excel in offense past its limitations.
We dodged the bullet. We dodged the bullet.
I mean, didn't you guys offer a first-round pick for Tom Brady and he didn't even take a snap? Like, you've been trying to move off Tua for a minute.
No, Tom Brady a snitch. He sold
It only cost him a couple draft picks. No big. It wasn't like they tried to do it.
Man, TD, Tom Brady been screwing you for years, and then he screws you again when you guys try to get him. What a slap in the face. No wonder you hate him.
He a snitch. Tua got paid, baby. Let's go.
All right, TD, man. You enjoy the time. TD. All right, we're going to move on here next to LaSalle.
Hey.
LaSalle, how we doing?
Good, brother.
I'm doing fantastic.
Let's go, LaSalle. I would give you your music, but I don't have it.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I just want because here's the thing. I watched the Dolphins roundtable, and I usually go on the live because they don't have Patreon members for that one. You don't have Patreon members for that one calling in. So I give out a lot of super chats about this man. He finally got his mic back. He finally got his mic back. Wow.
BB, get in some shade.
Hey.
He said I finally got my mic back. What are you talking about?
You were muted for like a hot minute.
Oh, I was muted. My bad. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, because I have to say, like, I thought when TD comes in here and becomes like that delusional Dolphin fan, like that delusional. Oh my God. I watched the Dolphin roundtable. CB83, you are something else.
I know. I'm a piece of work, aren't I?
Yeah. No, you are. Because the main thing that got me going was that
you better come to my channel, LaSalle. You better come over to my channel and learn something, champ. You better come over there and learn something.
The one thing that really got me was that you defend your general manager to the nth degree. Like
Chris Grier's doing a fantastic job. Look at the roster.
But here's the thing. But to say that, like, if you don't go to the playoffs or win a playoff win, it's all on McDaniel. It's all on McDaniel. Chris Grier.
A lot of that is on McDaniel. I mean, the players are in place, LaSalle. I mean, the roster was very good last year. Now, if you misuse the roster and you don't spot play guys and you don't get other players in the game to spill them and they get hurt and injured because they're playing too many reps and there's too much wear and tear on their body, that's on the coaching. Like, what else can we do? What else can Chris Grier do? He can't rotate guys in. He can't coach guys up. But all he could do is bring guys and put them on the roster.
Okay. But it's been now how many years? Like 5 to 6 years? And how many coaches have you brought in?
The GM.
How many coaches? How many coaches have you brought in? He's brought in
2 coaches.
He's brought in 3.
He's brought in Flores.
I have the same thing with an NBA team that I'm affiliated with, the Brooklyn Nets. We have Sean Marks, and Sean Marks is now bringing in his 4th head coach, and I'm getting tired of it there too. It's like the general manager takes on a whole lot of.
Does the general manager? Do you think the general manager alone hires the head coach and fires the head coach?
They're the ones that say, "Hey, I want this guy as a head coach." To the owner. The owner doesn't go up to him like, "I want this guy as a head coach."
But you don't think the owner has a lot to do with that?
No. If he is, that's how you got the Jerry Jones situation. How are they doing? How are the Cowboys doing?
I think that's a lot of
the Super Bowl in years.
I think that's a lot of LaSalle.
Coaches.
LaSalle, I think that's a lot of owners. I think a lot of owners have a lot to do with who they hire and fire as a head coach.
No, I don't think so, man. Then that owner is going way too far. Way too far. You know what I mean? But hey, I like all you guys. All you guys are doing really well here. And hopefully we see you guys again, but probably not gonna happen because TD, as you have seen, wants the attention. He wants the attention. He wants
TD's an attention seeker.
He wants
TD.
I'm on Disney World. Like that. But your Dolphin are never gonna go to Disney World. Disney World though.
They're
So.
killing y'all.
You have to go there as much as you want.
Gotta
Man.
join.
You gotta go there as much as you
join
can. Yeah. He hasn't seen a winning. He hasn't seen winning in the playoff in a while.
It doesn't. It's coming. LaSalle. Just stay put.
By 2000, he was still in college.
LaSalle, stay put. Stay put. It's happening. Don't worry. It's coming. Don't worry.
We appreciate you for joining, man.
Peace, everybody.
We appreciate you, LaSalle. Thanks, man.
LaSalle's a piece of work, man. I thought I was a piece of work. He's
a good Jet fan. LaSalle will go in on you and ruin your life, man.
Man, LaSalle, come over to my channel. We'll get it cracking over there.
It looks like we got one more Patreon member waiting behind the scenes, and we got another Buffalo Bills member popping out. We got Izzy. What's going on, baby?
How you doing, baby? Let's go.
Let's go. How you doing, man?
Yeah. I'm all right, living the dream. It took me a little nap earlier. I feel a little better,
Oh, dude, I wish.
Man, take off all that Bill stuff, man. You look
man, you love it. You love your daddy. Let's go, baby.
Nah, you ain't my daddy. You ain't got no rings.
No, I'm not your daddy. The Bills are the Dolphins' daddy. I'm talking about the team.
Y'all ain't got no rings, man. Y'all need to get your ring game up, man.
13 of the last 15 games we played, we won, so I'll take that.
Hey, the tide is turning. Don't worry, buddy. The tide will turn.
I think that's a weird dolphin analogy, and I don't understand it. So.
They're low tide over there.
It's a Miami thing. It's a Florida thing.
Tide will turn.
Dolphins about to be beached.
They got red tide down there.
There's nobody to push them in the water. They're like, oh shit, we're stuck. But
keep swimming. We just keep swimming. Don't worry, it's happening.
On the sand. It's gonna be rough.
Tua with that noodle arm, the little flipper, right? Like can't quite.
Yeah.
Ryan, shots fired, huh?
Oh my god!
Hey, the rookie minicamp coming up.
That jet was landed though. That jet didn't take off.
We had a delay. At the airport.
It had a bad wing. It was called
the Jets didn't take off.
We were flying a Boeing.
Yeah, but hey, the mini camp's coming up. It's gonna be a nice thing to see. Everybody's got their new guys. People look at draft classes the time right when it happens, and then say this is gonna be a great one or that's gonna be a terrible one, and all of a sudden 4 years later, looks a lot better, a lot worse than you thought. So we'll see what happens. I think that the mini camps will help these guys, pick up some more UDFAs. And then, decide who is going to be where on their depth charts potentially. I mean, it's really just a bunch of workouts mostly, but you get to see their work ethic and what they really intend to do for your team, I guess. So I just can't wait till next week. And then I guess, some of you guys will be here next week as well, hopefully, to discuss this. But,
I'll definitely be here.
If the A team wants to come back.
I know you will. I know you will, Kobe, but. Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. The off season is always fun until there's nothing to talk about. Then OTAs hit, and you're back into it. So we got this weekend, and then we got a bunch of freaking nothing until OTAs.
Dude, it's the worst, right? And then I think it's like there's like another dull period, I think, between like OTAs and training camp. Like that time in July is just nothing going on. So you're like digging for content, especially as a creator, which isn't. And the struggle. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
During that like down period of time, being a creator and trying to find content is like pulling hair.
Yo, just lucky last year. We had Hard Knocks.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, we got lucky. All of July was content.
That's not us. We will have panels of people fighting about is Tua the guy. That's what the Miami Dolphins will have. We will have panels of people everywhere talking about Tua is or is not the guy. And if he gets paid,
you should be used to that by now, though.
Oh, I'm so used to it. That's what we have in the community. So it's crazy.
I'm glad we don't have that problem in Buffalo.
Yeah, y'all don't have that problem. You got other problems. So
I wish not having that problem. Like I miss those days.
Yeah,
they're done now.
I just want to see
man.
Play.
I like Drake May though, but I also live in North Carolina, so I might be a little bit biased. So
you know what?
That's
okay. That's okay. Go Drake May.
When the Commanders took Jaden Daniels, I was like, oh damn, okay. Because I really don't. I'm not really that high on Jaden Daniels. You know, like his college tape was good. He's got a good, accurate arm, good, strong arm. He's got legs, but his tape to me screams Anthony Richardson. Except for he's more accurate than Anthony Richardson. But like they didn't ask him to run a lot of different types of routes, you know, with his receivers, and to me that might limit him early. Whereas Drake May, his offense was more of a pro style offense, so he's looked good. And then last year was a pretty decent year too. He struggled a little bit in the beginning with no Tez Walker, but you know, I think that it should be maybe a little bit of a rough patch his rookie year, but I think that he's going to be, you know, a good starting quarterback. I don't know if I want to say great or anything like that, but I'd say a good starting quarterback.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Jaden Daniels has bigger bust potential and I know that Drake May has bust potential, but I think that Jaden Daniels has more bust potential than Drake May does, to me, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
All right, Izzy. Hey, brother. Well, we appreciate you for tuning in. We appreciate you for popping out every single week, man. You're so consistent. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you for showing the love, man. And we will see you next week.
It's all love, baby. You know what it is.
All love, baby.
Take it easy, Izzy.
Let's go.
All right, and looks like we actually had one more Patreon member pop in, and that's our boy Glenn, who dropped our biggest donation of today, our $20 donation. Glenn, what is going on, baby?
Pretty good. How's y'all's night? Enjoyed the show.
Man. Hey, tell them fins up, Glenn. You already know what time it is, man. You know how we get down.
Yeah. Can't wait until the schedule next week. Got to wait another week.
Another week? Wasn't it expected to drop on?
So my ticket rep told me the 9th, which is tomorrow.
Yeah.
But then they confirmed it for next Wednesday at 8.
Yeah, I saw Schefter put something out yesterday, I think.
The schedule.
The team's got it.
There's actually
and stuff.
Supposedly.
They're actually. Hey, you know what's funny is they're actually projecting New York Jets in Miami first week.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Would it be in Miami or home for the Jets? Do you know?
It'd be what they're projecting now. This was a thing. They're just saying it and stuff that way it works out. It would be Miami,
home
Jets.
Oh,
probably.
Jets. We haven't played Miami week 1 in a long time. I feel like,
and that's what that's one of the things and stuff like that. And the problem is I understand. But I'm telling you now, if you walk through our schedules, man, we got some. I don't know if just an average quarterback will do it anymore this year, even with the good defense. We're playing a lot of good quarterbacks.
Ooh,
and stuff.
So no more average Tua, huh?
We play the West.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. No average. I mean, we're paying the South.
Oh, that's right. It's not
Stroud. But see, I think now this is gonna be a thing, but because there's tape out on a team on the Houston, Texas, I believe they don't schedule. It's easy to be the hunter and hunt. It's harder to be the hunter. Hunted, I mean.
Yeah, Glenn, and I understand. Like you're spot on. Like teams have tape on Stroud this year.
Yes,
those guys aren't going to just light it up like they did last year. I think they're going to have good years for sure, right?
Yeah, and it's just like Buffalo. Buffalo, everybody says, well, Buffalo. Well, you know what happens? Teams prepare for Buffalo, and then more than halfway through the season, they change their whole offense. So they took a lot of teams by surprise, and then by the time they got figured out, Buffalo was in their weaker schedule that Miami was at the beginning.
Yeah, I agree.
Of it.
For sure.
So
Glenn, I'm getting everybody mixed
up. But changing that offense up builds up a lot, and I believe it. But it also now there's tape out on that, and teams will be able to guard it better too.
Yeah, I agree, Glenn.
And stuff.
True.
But I just want to tell you. I just want to tell you guys a good show and stuff. I enjoyed it, and see y'all next week.
Thanks,
Man,
Glenn.
we appreciate
you
it.
coming
Thanks,
through,
Glenn.
bro. Appreciate the support,
Yep,
man.
no problem. Yep.
Man, Glenn is one heck of a dude.
Trooper.
Man. Like that guy has got one big heart. I mean, find me somebody else who shows as
You
much love to
can't.
his team in a
You
competitive division than Glenn. I mean,
He's a
gotta love
Dolphins
this guy.
fan, and you
There's
know
some
he's a
thoughtful
Dolphins
analysis,
fan.
though.
The
I thought
only good Dolphins
it was
fan.
reasonable.
I don't know.
He said the only good one. Stop it.
So we do have a couple of super chats to pop out before we head out here for you guys. So
Shout out
let's
to the
start
super
here
chats.
with this one. Ryan with the $5 donation says Tua leads the league in air yards. LMAO. Noodle. Also, who cares about needing home field? Breeze and Manning needed it too. Hashtag not. I think it means to say worried.
Not too worried, I think is what he's trying to say.
Not
Or
worried.
not worried?
Not worried.
Not worried.
He's not worried. He's not worried.
I didn't realize Tua led in air yards. Was there a what was the percentage of throws? Like if you had to guess an average amount of attempts for Tua on a weekly basis, did he happen to have like, is it per throw on air yards or is it just total like volume of throws?
I think it's volume, but I think he also hit the most on the deep throws too. So I think he hit the most on deep throws, and he had the highest percentage and highest amount of air yards. So I think Tua pushed the ball well down the field. Now, can he be better there? Yeah, like of course. I think all those guys are striving to get better, pushing the ball down the field. I think sometimes he puts a little bit too much touch on the ball. Hey, just let it go and let your guys run underneath it. And I think that's what we need to see. I need to see him start to overthrow some guys instead of just always putting touch on the ball and it being underthrown at times. But I keep it objective. I keep it across the board. So there is some stuff he needs to work on, and he has, to get better in those areas for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, guys, we're going to be wrapping up the show here pretty soon, and we have only 184 likes. 331 of you right now. What's going on? Guys,
I want them to invite us back.
Do we want to make Richie happy? Because let me tell you, the way to make Richie happy is for him to find out afterwards that we at the very least, hit the 200 mark in terms of likes. We're at 185, guys. 15 away from the 200 mark. Please make sure if you guys have not already, you smash that like button right now. Completely free, takes less than a second. And like I mentioned, it genuinely helps support everybody and all of the work here at the AFC East Roundtable. But let's get into the last couple of these donations here. Julian with a $5 donation. Shout out to you, Julian. Says, hot take. Pats lost 9 games by 7 points or less. Pats won't finish in 4th place. Honestly, I don't think it's a hot take at all. I think it's crazy that people are projecting the Patriots to be like the worst or second worst team by the end of the 2024 NFL season. I'm not saying the Patriots are making the playoffs. I'm not saying they're a contender, but they're going to be a much better team than I think people are giving them credit for. Like, they could be a 7-win team, and that shouldn't surprise anybody. The biggest issue was quarterback play this past season. They got Drake May as the 3rd overall pick, and they got a very good bridge quarterback who's a significant upgrade from the terrible quarterback play we had last year in Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, you're bringing back the same defense. You're bringing back the same defensive core in general, not to mention adding to it.
Quick question.
The Patriots also adding offensively, which is where they needed. What's up?
And how'd you win those games too? Because you wound up beating the Jets one time, and that probably shouldn't have been a win for the Patriots.
But who starts week 1 for you guys?
It's 100% Jacoby Brissett. I think Jacoby Brissett should start the entire year if need be.
I agree.
I think Drake May needs to sit for a period of time.
Jacoby Brissett was so bad for us. Hopefully he's better at this point. He was bad for the Dolphins.
I'm a big Brissett guy. I like
Brissett. You guys also didn't have much of a cast at that point too. I like, who is your number 1 receiver? Devontae Parker?
Yeah, Devontae Parker. We probably had like scrubs. Yeah, we definitely had
exactly.
Scrubs.
And I'm not saying we have an elite
Malcolm Perry and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree with you. All right, let's keep it moving.
So I think for the Pats, I think you got to look. Well, also like I can say a similar stat for the Jets. I think like if the Jets had played to the league average of points scored, we would have been like an 11-win team or something like that. I think if we got like 22 points a game, Jets would have been like over double-digit wins.
Because you had a solid defense.
Honestly, that first game with the Jets and the Patriots, it really shouldn't have even been as close as it was. The fact that it came down to a last-second play that was almost caught by Randall Cobb was absolutely absurd, and it shouldn't have come down to that. But you know what? You guys finally got one against us. It just took how many years, right? Right, Ryan?
Took forever, and it gave you guys the quarterback to
Yeah,
get the
and
win.
you helped us out in the end. So you know what? Thanks, Jets fans. You guys are always doing us a favor.
It always happens.
Die Hard
that way.
Pats fan is back at it with another $5 donation. Says, PG, you gotta go to the induction of Brady into the Hall of Fame. That'll give you something to report on during the downtime before training camp heats up. Yeah, so I actually am going to the Hall of Fame induction for Tom Brady on June 12th down at Gillette Stadium. I actually did talk to Richie too. I don't know what I'm going to be doing just yet, but I'll be reporting live from Gillette Stadium to kind of give you guys the breakdown on Tom Brady's induction for all those Pats fans or Tom Brady fans. So that's something you guys can look forward to on June 12th. That's actually a Wednesday, so I probably won't be here to live on the channel, but I'll have exclusive content coming here for you guys on the channel. So shout out to you, Die Hard. And then Izzy coming back to us here with a $2 donation, last donation today. And he says, Bills will have a whole new offense this year. And they will. It's exciting, but it's also scary, right? It's like to a much lesser extent, but it was like Tom Brady when he left New England, right? Such a big part to your team leaves, and it's something new and it's exciting. And it can either go great or it can go absolutely terrible. Not comparing Stephon Diggs to Tom Brady, but just the overall situation.
Yeah, I like Cook in another year back there too as running back. Like I think they could rely a little bit more on the running game and not focus too much on Josh forcing like Josh can always like the team's going to go by how Josh goes. But I think if he can rely on Kincaid and minimize his mistakes, I think the Bills are going to be a really dangerous team.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what, guys? When Patriots Global hosts, he likes to end things off with a little bit of a life lesson. So let me leave you guys off here with a little something, okay? And that is, if Tom Brady can lose his wife and family to a guy that looks like this, then so can you. Do not be confident in life, because let me tell you, life is an absolute bitch. But guys, Ryan, man, I appreciate you for showing out. Any last words before we end off the stream today?
Yeah, no, I appreciate coming on. It's always fun chopping it up with you guys. Even though we're the B team, it's all right. We got to see a little bit of playing time as well. Very much appreciated. Hopefully our Knicks wind up winning this game and Richie has a little bit of excitement coming his way at the Garden.
Yeah, for sure. And we obviously lost Z-Bot. He had to dip out, but we do appreciate him for coming in and filling in for Dan. Much love to our guy Z-Bot. CB, any last words here for you?
Hey, we're not the B team, man. We taking over. Don't worry, man.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, appreciate you guys having me on. It was fun, man. Good chopping it up with Ryan, you, Kobe, Z-Bot. Good team, man. Hey, we may be on to something. We may be on to something.
Yeah, you know what? This is how the Avengers came together. So just remember. Just remember.
It's an extra stone on the gauntlet.
And Izzy actually is popping off with one more donation before we end off, saying the roast continues. Go Knicks. Yes, the roast of Tom Brady. We were talking about that before we came on. If you have not watched it, go to Netflix right now. Watch the roast of Tom Brady. That was the best piece of cinema that I have seen in years. I was dying. We need to bring roasts back on a regular basis.
They need to do it for all the sports guys. I want to see Rodgers get roasted. I want to see Tiger get roasted. I want to see LeBron get roasted. Like all the big sports stars that could just have their egos hurt would be incredible.
Yeah, dude, that'd be funny. But guys, we appreciate you so much for tuning in to this edition of the AFC East Roundtable. We will catch you guys next week here. Same time, probably the regular cast will be back at it, I would assume. But as always, make sure you guys check each of our individual channels out. I think Richie put them in the description box. If he didn't, we'll make sure to change that. Make sure to subscribe here to the AFC East Roundtable and leave a like on your way out, guys. Appreciate you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Thumbs up.